I figured it's the end of a long day. You've listened to a lot of really amazing talks, and I'm the only thing standing between you and the Edge pub quiz, so I better throw in some extra entertainment. I did consider breaking my presentation every couple of slides to hurl Haribo at you, but essentially I'm pretty cheap, and I can rip Michael Jackson off YouTube for free. So I'm going to talk about this, games with audiences, as fun as to watch as it is to play, how games with audiences are taking over the world, which relates very closely to our practice at Hide and Seek, our studio. I think it's a really exciting trend in games right now, and I want to think about what it might mean for the games industry as a whole. And yeah, that's the thing. So, a little bit about Hide and Seek. I founded Hide and Seek originally as a festival on London's South Bank, and it was a festival of new and experimental games designed to take place in public space. So we had games in the streets, we had games in rooms at the South Bank, and we had games kind of making use of that really amazing free public space. It was kind of, my background prior to starting the festival was actually kind of in culture and film. And it was a time, sort of 2005, 2006, where there was a lot of immersive, site-specific theatre happening in London. So work like Punch Drunk, where you'd go and you'd kind of move around and you'd make choices and follow the journey that you wanted to follow. And the whole thing really kind of plugged into the same part of my brain as video games, and it made me really kind of curious as why, I've been going to all of this culture stuff my whole life, like theatres and cinema and museums and that kind of thing. I've been playing video games my whole life, but I'd never kind of seen that there was a space that could be in between those two, and maybe what was there, and that would be cool to explore. So that was the festival. And we did a lot of experimenting, and got a lot of adults to get together and play together. Had some really amazing feedback, and the studio was kind of born out of that. We've made work for a ton of different people across the cultural and commercial sectors over the last 4 years, and we just opened up a new studio in New York this year. So that ethos of experimentation and play and making work for public spaces kind of still continues in our work today. So we curate and produce a series of events every year called the Sandpit, which happen in cultural spaces around London mostly, and still happen at the South Bank Centre where we're artists and residents. It's basically an environment where if you've got an idea for a game for public space, you can come and try it out. Whether you're a game designer, an artist, a digital technologist, somebody who works in none of those fields, maybe somebody who's come and played games at another event and decided they could do that well. Through that playtesting, devising and developing process, we build up a body of games which we then show off at a big annual festival called the Hide and Seek Weekender, which kind of gets programmed against an international roster of games, work that we think is really interesting from all around the world. And I really do mean around the world. This is a list of all the places where there are festivals or big game events looking at this idea of games for public spaces that we're aware of. We hear about new ones every month or two, and it seems like it's really kind of getting some momentum as a cultural trend. And it's not just kind of coming out of public space or artists or those kinds of things like we are. Wild Rumpus, the awesome Wild Rumpus, came out of indie games festivals and the indie games scene. It's an amazingly cool night happening in, that's better, hi. In London, where they're showing off super cool indie games in a kind of nightclub atmosphere. And Indiecade, big indie games festival in LA, is bringing that spirit to Culver City with their big games program.